Initiating. Good evening, this is Pine Leaf Needles, and welcome to LOTRO Players News, where we take a look at the latest news in LOTRO, and here at LOTRO Players. And tonight we have with us Draculetta,
Hey, everybody.
Ethelros,
Hello.
and Dane.
Hey, everybody.
We also have a special guest tonight, Sithrith.
Hi.
Welcome, Sithrith, to our show, and I'd like to know how you got into LOTRO and became involved in our community.
Well, I got Lotro actually is a Christmas present. Uh, December of 2007, so after the game launched, obviously. And I remember it was my first online game, and I had no idea what I was doing, and I had no idea what servers were, and I was kind of terrified of talking to people in game. And um, I was only used to playing third person action games on controllers, and so WASD was very confusing to me, and I ran off many cliffs. Um,
Don't worry, most
and
of us don't have that excuse.
I remember my first character was actually on Brandywine, but then when I went to play the second time, I clicked a different world. It ended up being Windfola, which is where I play now. But I was like, where did my character go? I lost my character. I was like, I got to level 5. I spent so much time getting to level 5. It was a whole thing, but then I kind of figured it out, I think. And yeah, so I'm still on Winfola. But I don't really know when I started getting involved in the community. It was kind of a slow process, I guess, just looking at the forums to, see news and stuff. And then I think it really kickstarted when I joined the kin I'm in now, and we had some players who, like I previously was, had no idea how to do anything. And so at that point, I'd been playing for about 2 years, so I knew what I was doing mostly at that point. And so I started writing guides for my kinmates, and then that turned into a blog, and that turned into Lotro Weekly, which is what the main blog I used to do. And I think that's kind of where my community involvement started with Lotro.
All
It just
right.
snowballed from there.
And snowballed from there. And you say you're on Winfola. Have I ever run into you on Winfola?
I don't know. Maybe. I feel like I've seen you standing in Bree before.
Well, I'm sure I've been there a couple of times.
Don't feel bad if you haven't. Pineleaf's been trying to get every guest we have that he finds out is on any server that he's on. Tries to find out if he's run into them before. It's.
All right. All right. Now, I want you to tell us something about living in New Zealand.
New Zealand's pretty cool. Most people know it as being Middle Earth,
You
and
mean
I
some
actually
people
ended up.
know it as not being Middle Earth?
Yes, surprisingly. But I actually ended up here because my kin leader in Lotro, in the kin I'm in now, Wind Riders of Rohan, I ended up marrying my kin leader, and he's from New Zealand. So I moved here,
It's
and
awesome.
yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah, I've been to a couple of the like movie sites. They're pretty cool. I've been to Hobbiton a couple of times, and I've seen it in various stages of construction for the Hobbit movies, and that's really cool. I love Hobbiton, especially now they have the Green Dragon Tavern all nice and complete, and it's so detailed. It's crazy. There's little pieces of paper tacked to the walls. It's uh, fishing contest or whatever, and Frogmorton catches the biggest whatever. And the detail is crazy, and it's amazing, and I love it.
All
Wow,
right.
awesome.
I guess you help the trade balance there because I have someone who works for me who's born in New Zealand. So
Oh yeah.
yeah, so where I
Yeah,
work
it
at seems
evens
to be
out.
yeah, so it evens out. All right, we'll now go into the game news. Well, at least we would go into the game news if there really was some real game news. Yes, we do have some downtime on Monday for maintenance, but by the time most of you will be hearing this, that'll be done with. Eldar, though, did bring in a new fastest time for the Take the Hobbits to Isengard with 46 minutes and 6 seconds.
Yeah,
And we
that's
ask now,
amazing. I can't believe that the time actually got beat again.
you think anyone can break 45?
I don't know. I thought this time was the unbeatable, and I thought the time before this time was unbeatable. So I have no idea.
Is that one of the former EU servers?
Mm, I believe they're a UK server.
Okay.
No idea how they did it that fast then.
I believe number two, the one that they beat, that was also a EU server.
Maybe it's because we're so good at queuing. Kind of flows into that.
All right, we'll see how that works. Yes, but I would have thought that the fastest times would have been the German servers, but
Oh yeah, after the whole Bounders bounty thing.
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
All right. Now, that leaves only the store sales. So, Draculetta, what's on sale this week?
The free sample of the week is a random relic pack times one. Use coupon code RRPK4. Once again, coupon code RRPK4, and that is one time per account, so use it wisely. 25% off Virtue bundles, trait slots, skill, and Slayer Deed boost. Also, the weekend special through the 18th is 50% off morale and power potions, 35% off tones of agility, and 20% off the Eridor bundle. Which that is actually a pretty decent deal because that is basically every quest pack up to Moria.
When you say
Nice.
up to Moria, you mean not including Moria, I presume, since it's Eriador, right?
Yes, correct.
But does it include Dunland and all
Um,
that?
I do not think so, but let me double check. Hold on one second. I can't even remember what I posted now. Hold on. That's terrible.
They're just barbarians down there. They don't need to be included in Eriador.
Well, but that sort of isn't that the Middle Earth version of Wales?
Thanks, Piney.
Well, I mean, with all those Welsh names there.
Calling us barbarians.
That's pretty much what happened there, with a few pauses in between. But yeah.
All right, we'll go to the players' news while Draculetta looks up whether or not that includes that, and we'll begin with.
I actually have that now if you want it.
All right, okay, what is it?
It's Angmar, Endawythe, Eregion, Ebendim, Forakel, Misty Mountains, North Downs, and Trollshaws.
Surprised that includes Inedwythe and not Dunland.
Yeah.
I guess
It also,
Dunland's an expansion though. So
also gives you
Yeah.
It's an expansion, yes. All right.
13 instances and 2 raids. So that's a pretty decent deal for a free-to-play player that doesn't have a lot of content.
Yes. Very well. Now, our first bit of player news this week is a new outfit from Sithrith. So, Sithrith, could you please tell us about your outfits?
Sure. So every week on Lotro Player News, I post the Lotro outfits. I make outfits and I record them. Basically, I noticed that pretty much all the cosmetic blogs and all the posts in the Lotro forums on the cosmetic subforum were all pictures, and the pictures are really nice, but sometimes they don't give you a really good idea of how an outfit looks in the game, like, you know, when you're walking around and stuff. So I decided to start doing video versions of outfits, and so I record my character doing various things in the outfits. So this week is Rohirrim of Aldburg, and it uses the new steel blue dye that came out with Update 13. And the outfit's based on the town of Aldburg in Western Rohan, and if you've been there, you know that like every single building in Aldburg is painted blue, which is kind of unusual. So it really stuck out to me, so I decided to make an outfit based on that using the new dye.
All right, thank you very much. And our next item is Lotro Video Highlights. endurance folk.
That's right, Pine Leaf. This is actually a dwarven, well, not dwarven kinship, but they might as well be a dwarven kinship because they have a just looks like they have a fun time doing all sorts of stuff. And this video is a great trailer for Dwarves Everywhere, and it just happens to be a kinship trailer. I recommend everyone look at it. It has great cinematography and makes you happy that you're a LOTRO player.
Right. And we also posted Locho Players Adventures episode 15, where we had more trolls.
Thelros can explain that one.
Yes.
Wait, what?
The show title, More Trolls for last week's adventures.
Oh yeah. Again, they could be referring to different kinds of trolls.
I have a feeling he is speaking of the big monstrous shapes that pound you on the head with clubs.
No, so it's not the captain running around putting in said trolls at them.
Yes, right. Very well. And we also have a new podcast in the community, Light the Beacons. And unfortunately, Braxwood is not here, so Andang, can you tell us something about the new podcast?
Yeah, I listened to it for a little bit. It sounds amazing. They have great audio quality, and basically, it seems like he's going through various news and topics and things like that of not just Lotro, but also Lord of the Rings books and movies. So really, just everything Lord of the Rings he's going through, and it seems like a great podcast. It's only had 2 episodes, but it's off to a fantastic start.
All right, that's good to hear someone else in the community. And then, of course, there is Braxwood's Pick of the Week. He is too busy picking chairs for his table to actually go out and pick an article for this week. So therefore, we'll head into our question of the week.
All right.
Yes, the question I chose for this week is regarding generally burnout from different kinds of games. MMOs particularly can be a subject to this because of how long you tend to invest playing a specific one. So the first question I come up with is just when do you find that it can be time to just take a break and step back from a game and do other things for a bit? I guess we'll go around and ask each person if they've had these kind of experiences in not just Lotro but games in general. Andang.
Yeah, so, I mean, what was the question again?
What times do you think it could be a good idea to take a break?
Yeah,
And if
sorry,
you've
I
had
was
any kind of such experiences yourself.
distracted trying to fix the echo problem. But I I have taken a break through Lotro before. I know it's a shock. Somebody that likes Lotro this much took a break. But I did take a break, and it was right after the raiding kin that I was leading broke away. And at that point, I had gotten my character as far as I possibly could have advanced him, got him, the best gear, the best everything, and I just wasn't in the mood to make an alt. So I took a break from the game for, I don't know, maybe 3 months or so, and that was probably the best thing I could have done because since then I've enjoyed Lotro much more, and definitely much more than if I would have taken a break. So I think that taking a break, it's good every now and then, just in general, but especially if you think that you're starting to get burnt out, don't try to force yourself to keep playing. Um, just, take a break for a little bit, whether it be, a week or a couple months, and, return to it eventually when you get that itch again to come back to Middle Earth.
Okay. Drac.
I've never really taken a break from Lotro, but I know previously my first MMO ever was Ultima Online, and I played that for about 3.5 years for about 6 hours every day, and without taking a break from the game, and I got completely burned out on that. And it just got to the point where it just wasn't fun anymore, and that's when I realized, I do love this game, so I think it's time to step away. And I took about a 2.5 month break, and then I went back into it, and I didn't play as much as that. And the game, kind of like what Anding said, it was like a whole new game, and it was fun again, and it was just great. So I think once you get to the point where you realize you love the game, but it's just not fun for you anymore, that's when you just need to step away for maybe a month and a half, 2 months, and then come back, and you'll probably find out that it's going to be a lot better for you.
Okay. Pine Leaf.
Well, most games where I might have taken a break, it was because another new game came out and I was wind up playing that instead of some other game I was playing. That's what happened to me with Skyrim. I've only gotten back into that recently. The But as for a conscious break, just taking a break, for me in LOTRO, there was one of those in LOTRO in the last few months before Mirkwood was released. So they were going through the beta for Mirkwood and all that stuff. And I decided then to look at some other games. I first tried DDO, but that was having trouble with my system at the time. So therefore, I didn't get into that. And I think just before DDO relaunched with free to play, I wound up starting to play Eve. So I was playing Eve for a few months. And I played that until about a week after Mirkwood came out. Then I went back to Mirkwood in the Lord of the Rings Online, and I haven't had a significant break from that since. So I have had other games, and as I said, I would have different games that I would go in and out on playing. But usually it's because there was another game I wanted to play rather than a decision just to take a break from it.
Okay. And Sithris.
Yeah, I've taken a pretty significant break from the game before. I think after the 4th anniversary, sometimes referred to as the grindiversary for its specific qualities. That I think I was really involved in the game at that time, and I was hosting a role-playing weekly event at that time, and that happened, and then the EU servers merged and with the North American servers, and there was the whole issue of different servers getting labeled RP and not, and the whole thing just got me really mad at the game, and so I took a pretty long break from the game. I don't think I started playing again for like a year and a half. That's a really loud echo. um, yeah, but I didn't play for like a year and a half, so that's a pretty long break. But I think it's definitely benefited me a lot. I don't play nearly at the same frequency or like at the same level as I was before, but I definitely feel like I can enjoy the game more now.
Mm-hmm. I think I've kind of had that experience too, where in the past I was really invested in just playing the game almost not 24/7, but pretty much every day. And then since recent years, I kind of dropped off every few months. I think during Rise of Rohan, post Wildemore, I believe, I took about a 2-month break there to play a couple of other different MMOs. SWOTR I tried, Rift, Secret World, and yeah, again, none of them really got to me that much, but I just felt like there wasn't anything for me to really do in game. And I've also kind of done different things in LOTRO where I take a break from different parts of it. So, for example, after a while after Rohan released, but before World War, I took a break from the whole the PvE side of it and went into the Moors for about 2 or 3 months, just playing creeps a lot. I think that kind of led towards me doing the whole Fellowship of the Creep stuff too. So yeah, it can help, I think, to an extent anyway. So the next question we have here is kind of related to that one. This one will just open the floor to everyone. Is how much do you think you can actually help rejuvenate your enjoyment of a game? Where do you think the limit is for that? Do I have to nominate people to speak? Because I will if I have to.
No.
All right then. Pineleaf.
I'm trying to figure out what exactly you're talking about. Yes.
How much do you think taking breaks can actually help your enjoyment of a game?
Well, let's see. It's hard for me to say. I'm not really sure how much it. I would say that probably it's all been covered. I think during the first question, I thought we pretty much covered that, didn't we?
Well, a bit, yeah. That's why I meant more for the open floor. Just any extra details you might have had to add on that point.
I think I sort of covered everything.
All right. I guess we'll move on to the third question because there's quite a bit bigger one. It's at what point do you think that taking breaks from a game stops being viable to actually help you enjoy it more, and maybe it's time to think about taking more permanent distancing from it? Pineleaf again.
Well, then, I know that, as I said, the only one where I took a break because I wanted to take a break from the game was the pre-Mirkwood in LOTRO. Though with WoW, actually I did when I was playing WoW, I did take a break at one point, but I think it was more of a case of getting bored with WoW than anything else. And I think the second time I just decided, no, I was really bored with WoW, and then I heard of LOTRO, so I think I was going to a new computer at the time. I just decided, nah, I'm not going to bother loading WoW into that, and that was it. So I gave it 2 tries, and before I decided to dump it.
Mm-hmm.
But
Anything else, Frank?
at that point, I had my main character. I do remember in WoW when the first expansion came out, the land just looked so bleak and awful when I went into the new expansion areas. I deleted my highest level character because it was that awful. So therefore, at that point, I think that was the beginning of the end, was that expansion. The rest was just dredges, so to speak, before I decided, just to dump the whole thing.
Okay. Track.
I think if you take a break from what other game it is that you're playing, be it, for however long that break is, and you come back and you still feel the same way you felt when you took the break to begin with, it might be time to separate from the game. That should be the answer that you're looking for. You could try to take a longer break and see if that helps, but I think it's like a personal thing. You're gonna know when it's time, if that makes sense. And I would say that would be the biggest telltale sign is if you take a break, you come back in, you still feel like you're burned out. You're still upset at, maybe it's a change they made in the game or whatever it is. It might be time just to separate yourself from whatever game it might be.
Sithris.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with what Drex said. Like if you're still feeling those negative feelings when you come back, then it's probably time to just put it down, maybe forever. I basically think it's just like if you are feeling like really like there's a difference between feeling burnt out on a game and just like being bored with it, or just like, oh, I never feel like playing that game anymore kind of thing, and feeling like actively like negative feelings towards a game. I think those negative like feeling angry about a game is when you should really start thinking about just putting it away for a while or permanently.
So it's distinguishing between just plain boredom and actually outright disliking parts of it there.
Right.
Hmm. And then,
Yeah, I have to agree with Drac. I mean, really, it's whenever you return back to a game and it's still not fun, that's probably a pretty good indication that it's probably not going to be fun later on. That doesn't mean that, you're never going to get an itch for it again and you might return to it. I know several games that I've quit and then come back to later, didn't like it, and then say like 2 years later down the line, I'm like, I really want to play that one game, and I'll play it for a little bit, and then I'll decide, well, I don't really need to return to it now again. But I was glad I played for that little bit of time again. But I think in general, if you don't like it on that return back, um, and you give it a good chance, not play it for a couple days and try to see if you can get into anything, and you still don't like it, that's almost a sure sign that you're probably not going to like it moving forward. So that's probably when it's time to move away completely.
Now remember, I had taken a couple of breaks from Diablo 2, and what cured me of ever wanting to go back to it was Diablo 3. I just think, okay, I just and
yeah.
I meant that I don't want to go back to Diablo 3 either.
Merlin in the chat says when everything just becomes a grind.
Mm.
And then Zinger says, for myself, I really only play free-to-play MMO titles, so it's easy to put any game down for a time and come back. If I do, lack of money, well spent.
Yeah, and that's kind of the main downfall of subscription MMOs I find is that when I have that going, I kind of feel like I'm obligated to log in, even if I don't actually want to.
Mhm.
That's mainly why I dropped pretty much every subscription I had to previous games, and I don't really do it anymore.
And I think Zinger brings up a good point too, because if you're just doing like a free-to-play model, you don't feel as guilty about not playing the title.
Hmm.
Because if you're paying, say, $15 a month to play, and you're still paying that $15 a month, but you don't play for 3 months, you're thinking, man, I'm just throwing money away. So I need to play it, and I think that's when the whole burnout comes in because you kind of feel like you're forced to play it. But I guess that would be a whole other discussion on the whole free to play model. But
Which we could have at some point too. It's
right.
an interesting idea. Yeah, I kind of had experienced this with games aside from MMOs, where like I'll have a game that I haven't played in a long time, and I'll suddenly, for whatever reason, get a desire to play it. But by the time I've done reinstalling the game, getting all the details and stuff sorted out for it, when I load it up, I no longer have the desire to play it. I didn't even get into the game and actually play it before my desire to actually play it had disappeared. And that's happened at least a dozen times with different games. Just shows how quickly you can get bored of a game if you,
You get bored of
yeah.
installing it.
Mm.
Yeah, that
It's just
happens
like,
with MMOs a lot with me. Like I'll want to play another MMO again, and I'll go and I'll make it. Like I'll spend all the time to make a character, and then the character loads into the world, and I'm like, I don't really care anymore.
yeah, that's happened with me with Rift and SWOTOR especially.
Hmm.
I've reinstalled both of those games about half a dozen times each, just deciding where do I want to play it. Okay, and no, I don't want to anymore. And then I need to move it to save space.
Oh, usually I can sometimes find out just by watching somebody's YouTube channel whether, all right, how's this game look? This is awful. No, I'm not going to even bother installing it.
I mean, it's even happened with games that I've actually played a bit, and then it disappears again, and then I kind of get like that little itch, and then I remember all the stuff that I didn't like about it that made me not want to play in the first place. Like Secret World, for example, is the combat. Even though the story's interesting, the combat, I realized again
Mm.
how much I didn't like it, so it puts me off. Okay, so anyone have any final thoughts to add on this subject?
I think it's time to take a break from the question.
Hilarious,
Nicely
Piney.
played, Pineleaf.
I feel hurt by that.
Okay, were there any community answers?
Aside from the ones mentioned in the chat,
Yeah.
don't believe so.
All right, then we'll go on to donations. And we have a big thanks from Merlin on Firefox for a $10 or more donation to Locho Players. I have been playing for about 3.5 years now on Firefoot server. I have 10 active accounts with 43 active tunes or tunes I log into at least every 2 weeks. I also have 8 kinships, which 5 are at rank 10. With 43
Jeez.
tunes, yes, with 43 tunes, as you can get, I have many names, but go by Merlin to all those who know me. I could go on for a long time about stuff, but we'll just tell about my highlight in my game, which was last Christmas when I started a tune named Satya Claus, who in turn started the kinship of the North Pole. I saved up my chests and keys over the year, and over Christmas Eve and Day gave away Christmas presents 146 chests with keys to players I came across in Bree, Mickle Delving, and Thorns Hall. Santa Claus is a level 20 dwarf mini who got to level 20 without having to kill any mobs. As everyone knows, Santa Claus doesn't kill stuff, and how do you get to level 20 without killing any mobs? I mean,
The
Crafting.
Shire.
yes, but what about
Hmm.
the intro?
I suppose you could be in a fellowship and have someone else kill him for you.
Or you can skip the whole intro too with that thing
Oh yeah,
you
you
can
can
buy
just
in the store now.
buy it.
Okay,
Mm.
so you bought veteran stats or whatever they call it in
Yeah, veteran
Lotro.
stance.
Oh, they do call it veteran stats? Okay, because I know that's what they call it in DDO.
I think it's
I
the
am,
same.
okay. I am hoping for this to become a yearly event for the Firefoot server as I posted about this for about 2 weeks before Christmas. Santia also has a band on Firefoot which I play music. Since last Christmas, I already collected around 325 chests and keys for next Christmas. I am sure I will have about 500 to pass out, which for me is a lot of fun. Anyway, as I said, I could go on and on, but I won't. I do have a fun question for you guys and gals at Lotro Players, though. How many non-temp tunes do you have? And if you were able to add up their levels, what would it be? For example, he has 1,974 levels with 42 3 tunes for an average level of 45. They range from level 15 to level 87. I thought this would be an interesting question and to see who really doesn't have a life. Thanks for your work, you guys and gals. Merlin of Firefoot. So that is the question, and we will begin with Etheros.
Okay, I haven't checked this to confirm. I have a 95 Law Master. My captain is 50 now. I think I have an 85 Runekeeper and like a level 7 Burglar or Hunter, and then a 20 Burglar. But it's that's less than 200 total, I would think.
All right, so you have about 5 characters then?
Yes, I believe
All
so.
right.
Not counting creeps, anyway.
All right, not counting creeps. Yeah, I guess creeps don't count for this matter. Very well. How about Andang?
Yeah, so I actually did the math just now, and I think I have a combined level of 198 and 5 tunes. And I have no idea about average level.
Right, that's because you stay on Landrival.
Yep.
You're loyal to one server.
I do have a lot of characters left over on Imladris though, so it's probably way higher than
Yeah,
that number, but haven't visited them
but
again.
yeah, but I think he says that you actually log into. At least that's
Right.
all I'm counting. Very well. How about Draculetta?
I have 24 tunes, for a level of 917.
Very well. And Sithrit,
I've got 8 characters, and my total level is 434.
434. And I am counting the ones that I'm actually tracking, which means that those are the ones I'm most likely to log into. I have a total of 26 that I keep track of, and that is a total of 1,659 levels.
Wow. That's a lot.
Yeah,
That is a lot.
so we'll see how long it takes me to get to 2,000 for that. I suppose that could be a challenge for next year. If you wish to help the Lotro players, you could simply go to the donations page where you can help support the podcast on Lotro players and also help support the site. We have $5 and $10 mentions where you can donate and get a mention on one or all of our active podcasts for an episode, depending on the amount. For $5, you get a mention on the podcast of your choice. For $10 or more, you get a mention on all of our active podcasts. As for feedback, we do not have any reviews this week, but we do have a featured comment where Tyrion left a comment on episode 46 of Lotro Players News. Pretty sure Meta Lions is male considering that his name is Jeff.
Yeah.
Yes, you were told, Andang.
Yep. That was my mistake. I knew he was a guy, but apparently I just forgot in the podcast.
You're for, you're forgetting the you're forgetting the proper pronouns. All right. Emails. Our first email is from Comstrike, who wrote in saying, I have an entirely unrelated subject I'm preparing to podcast in support of. Do you use any software in particular in producing your show? Just curious from a technical standpoint. Best regards, Nathan Benjamir. Comstrike.
So I'm pretty sure this is a question for me.
Yeah, sounds like one for you.
Since I am the tech guy. So right now we're actually broadcasting on open broadcast software, also known as OBS, and basically it just broadcasts out to YouTube, it broadcasts out to Twitch or whatever site you want to broadcast for the most part that has video. It can do for the most part. For editing the podcast itself, we use Audible, which is not Audible, but Audacity rather, which is a fantastic free editor that was a college project that basically just came through, and so that made it free because, well, it was a college project, so they probably couldn't charge for it. And it's just a great product. I recommend using it. Whenever I have to do any audio editing, I use it. It's great. As for the call, we use Skype or TeamSpeak when Skype fails, which is a lot more than we used to have. But luckily, it hasn't done that in the last couple weeks. And I say that, and it's probably going to crash now. But but yeah, for the most part, that's just about everything we use. Yeah, I think that's just about it.
All right, thank you very much. And we also have a special note from Leonor via a conversation on Skype with Drac. Drac, could you please read this?
Would
I
you please not?
I sure can. Now, Etheros, take special note because this is for you. Leonor says, Dear Etheros, this is Leonor. I'm a huge fan and would like to ask you to do something. Could you pretend that you are teaching a class and read off all the Twitter names at the end of the show in the voice of Snape from Harry Potter? Please be creative in awarding and scolding each name. Thanks, Leonor. So, Etheros, the floor is yours.
No, it isn't.
Come on, Ethelros. You got this.
My voice isn't up to it. It's too early in the morning.
Well, at least read off the Twitters.
I could do that, but Pineleaf would do it better.
You can contact us at LotroPlayers.mymiddleearth@gmail.com, and you can also follow us at Twitter. LotroPlayers at LotroPlayers. Andang at PVMP underscore Andang. Braxwolf at Braxwolf, even though he's too busy getting tables and chairs. Draculetta at Draculetta underscore 72. Etheros at Etheros, who refuses to read off contact lists. Lily Kate at Lily Kate Buggins, who is too busy riding horses today. Mystery at Mystery XOX, who boycotted this one because she didn't want to be on with a New Zealander.
Hum.
I highly doubt that that's true, Pineleaf. I mean, I think you're putting words into Miss Mouth there, and she's gonna get back at you.
Well, I am trying to channel my inner Professor Snape here. I know I can't do it as Snape does, but there has to be a little not so fun. And Pineleaf at Pineleaf Needles, who cannot do Professor Snape right. And
10 points
finally,
from Gryffindor.
right. And finally, our guest, Sithrith at Sithrith. You could join us live every week. Lotro Players Adventures goes live every Saturday at 5 p.m. server time. Lotro Players News goes live every Saturday at 8:30 p.m. server time, and that is United States Eastern Time. You can join us by going to lotroplayers.com/live, and be sure to join us in the YouTube chat. Thank you for watching. This is Pineleaf Neil saying goodbye, and remember to skirmish responsibly.
We beat Eldar server.